This happened on Christmas Eve, but for a long time I couldn't bring myself to even say those words without feeling sick. I was 36 years old at the time. Married, father of 3, 2 boys and a little girl who still believed Santa could see her thoughts. Christmas was always my favorite holiday, not because of the gifts, but because it was the one time of year everything felt quiet, controlled, safe. At least, that's how it used to feel. I worked security at a warehouse on the edge of town. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and it gave my family stability. Night shifts were part of the deal, especially during the holidays when thefts spiked and temp workers came and went. Christmas Eve that year landed on one of my shifts. I remember apologizing to my kids as I put on my jacket. "I'll be home before you wake up," I told them. I believed that. The drive to work was empty, streets lined with glowing houses, inflatable Santas slumped over lawns, strings of lights flickering in the cold. Everyone else was already home. That should have been my first warning. Christmas Eve nights are too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're being watched. The warehouse sat alone, surrounded by a chain-link fence and a wide, snow-dusted parking lot. Inside, it was just me and 2 other guys, both temps who'd been hired for the holiday rush. I'd met them a few times before. Quiet, kept to themselves, didn't cause trouble. We clocked in, exchanged half-hearted Merry Christmases, and went to our assigned areas. My post was the security office near the loading docks. Cameras, radios, logs. Most nights were boring. You'd check monitors, walk the perimeter, maybe scare off a raccoon digging through trash. That night started the same way. Around 9:30 p.m., one of the cameras flickered. At first, I thought it was just the feed lagging. Old system, cheap wiring. I tapped the screen, adjusted the angle. That's when I saw movement. A figure near Dock 4, not one of the temps. This person wasn't wearing a badge. I radioed in, no response. Tried again, static. That was unusual, but not alarming yet. Radios cut out sometimes near the metal bays. I grabbed my flashlight and headed out. I told myself it was probably a contractor who'd forgotten to sign out. Or a temp stepping outside for a smoke. I was wrong. Dock 4 was dark. The overhead lights were off and only the emergency strips cast long shadows across the concrete floor. I called out, announcing myself. No answer. I took another step forward and that's when I heard it. Footsteps. Not running, not sneaking, just walking, calm, deliberate. "Hey," I said. "You need to show your badge." The footsteps stopped. Then someone laughed. It was quiet, controlled, like they were amused. I'd even asked. A man stepped into the light. He was tall, mid-30s, maybe early 40s, wearing a heavy coat despite being inside. No badge, no uniform. His hands were in his pockets. "I'm just looking for someone," he said. I asked who. He tilted his head and smiled. "You." That's when my stomach dropped. I told him to leave, that he was trespassing, that police would be called. My voice sounded steady, but my heart was hammering. He didn't move. Instead, he said my name, not my first name, my full name. I didn't tell him that. I asked how he knew it. He shrugged, stepped closer. I could smell alcohol on his breath. "You don't remember me," he said. "But I remember you." I backed up. My hand went to my radio again. Still nothing. I told him to stay where he was. He didn't. The next few seconds happened too fast to make sense of. He lunged. I tried to dodge, but slipped on the concrete. I hit the ground hard, knocking the air out of my lungs. Before I could get up, he was on me. I saw the blade before I felt it. Short, serrated, Christmas wrapping paper still clinging to the handle. The pain came in waves, hot, sharp, unreal. I screamed. I kicked. I tried to grab his arm, but he was stronger than me. He kept whispering something over and over. "You ruined my life." I don't know how long it lasted. Seconds, minutes. Time stopped meaning anything. Suddenly footsteps echoed again, running this time, someone shouting. The man stood up, breathing heavy. He looked down at me like I was already gone. "Merry Christmas," he said. Then he ran. I remember staring at the ceiling, trying to breathe. Blood pooled beneath me, my vision blurred. All I could think about were my kids, whether they'd wake up without me. Whether my wife would have to explain why Dad didn't come home. Sirens came, lights, voices, hands pressing on my wounds, then nothing. I woke up in the hospital. The doctor told me I was lucky. The blade missed my heart by inches. I'd lost a lot of blood, but I'd survive. Lucky. The police came later, asked questions, took my statement. I told them everything I could remember. The man's face, his voice, what he said. When I mentioned my name, the detective's expression changed. He asked if I'd ever testified in court. I said yes. 3 years earlier, a warehouse theft ring. I'd identified a suspect, helped put him away. The detective nodded slowly. "He was released last week," he said. "Early parole." I didn't need to ask his name. The police searched for him. His apartment was empty. His phone was gone. His car was found abandoned 2 towns over. No body, no arrest. They called it an attempted homicide. I went home 2 days later. Christmas decorations still up, presents still under the tree. My kids cried when they saw the bandages. My wife wouldn't let go of my hand. Everyone kept saying how grateful they were that I survived. But I didn't feel grateful. Because every night after that I started hearing things. Footsteps outside. A laugh in the distance. Sometimes I'd swear I smelled alcohol. The police told me not to worry, that he'd run, that he wouldn't come back. But on New Year's Eve, while helping my kids put away their toys, I noticed something sticking out of our mailbox, a small box, wrapped in Christmas paper. Inside was a knife, short, serrated, and taped to the handle was a note. It only said one thing: "Next time, I won't miss." And that's where it stopped, because what happened after that didn't happen to me, it happened to my family. I didn't tell my wife about the knife. I know how that sounds now, but at the time, I convinced myself I was protecting her. She'd already been living on edge since the attack, jumping at noises, checking locks twice, sleeping with the hallway light on. I didn't want to add fuel to that fire, so I threw the box away. I scrubbed the knife clean, wrapped it in plastic, and dropped it in a public trash bin 2 towns over. I told myself it was just a scare tactic, that he was trying to stay inside my head, and it worked. The police increased patrols for a while. They told me to vary my routine. Avoid predictable schedules. I did everything they said. I took unpaid leave from work, installed cameras around the house, bought a heavier deadbolt, even got a dog. But fear doesn't leave just because you lock it outside. It moves in with you. Weeks passed, then months. Winter faded into spring. The police stopped calling. Eventually, they stopped mentioning his name at all. Life tried to return to normal. I went back to work, day shifts only. My kids stopped asking why I flinched whenever someone knocked. My wife smiled more, laughed more. For a moment, I let myself believe it was over. That belief didn't survive the fall. The first sign was small. One afternoon, I came home and noticed the porch camera had been turned slightly, just a few degrees off. Enough that it no longer covered the full driveway. I checked the footage, no alerts, no motion, no explanation. I adjusted it back. 2 nights later, the dog started growling at the back door. Low, aggressive, I opened the curtain and saw nothing but darkness and my own reflection. The third sign came the week before Christmas. I found muddy footprints near the side gate. They didn't belong to anyone in my family. That night, I barely slept. I lay there listening to the house breathe, the creaks, the pipes, the faint hum of electricity in the walls. Every sound felt deliberate, every shadow felt occupied. I told myself I was paranoid. Christmas Eve arrived faster than I expected. The house was full that morning. My kids were wired with excitement. My wife was cooking. Music played softly in the background. The normalcy felt fragile, like glass. By late afternoon, snow started to fall. Thick, quiet. I stood at the window watching it accumulate, thinking about how peaceful it looked, how deceptive peace can be. Around 7:40 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Just one. Firm. I froze. My wife looked at me. "Are you expecting anyone?" I shook my head. Another knock. I checked the camera feed on my phone. Nothing. No one on the porch. My chest tightened. I told my wife to take the kids upstairs and lock the bedroom door. She didn't argue. She saw my face and understood immediately. I grabbed the baseball bat from the closet. The knock came again, harder this time. I approached the door slowly, my heart pounding so loud it felt like it would give me away. I asked who it was. No answer. Then softly, from the other side of the door, "Merry Christmas." It was him. I recognized the voice instantly. I stepped back, every nerve screaming. I told him the police were on their way, that the house was monitored, that he needed to leave. He laughed. "You always say the right things, Wig," he said. "That's why you're still breathing." The front porch light flicked off. Then the power went out. The house fell into darkness. I heard glass shatter from the side of the house. I ran, not toward the noise, away from it, toward the stairs, toward my family. I barely made it halfway when he appeared at the bottom of the stairs, stepping out of the shadows like he'd been there the whole time. He wasn't wearing a coat, just a hoodie, and he was holding the knife, the same one. I swung the bat. He dodged. The bat hit the railing, splintering it. He moved fast, faster than someone with a limp should have. He tackled me to the floor. We struggled. The bat slid out of reach. I tried to pin his arm, but he was stronger, angrier. "You took everything from me," he hissed. "Now you get to feel it." I thought of my kids. I screamed for my wife to run. I don't know how many times he stabbed me. I lost count after the third. Pain blurred into pressure, pressure into numbness. I felt myself slipping. The house felt far away, unreal. The last thing I saw was my wife at the top of the stairs, frozen in horror, clutching our children behind her. I tried to tell her I loved her. I don't know if the words came out. Sirens echoed somewhere distant. Then nothing. The police report says I died before the ambulance arrived. They say the suspect fled on foot. They say he was never found. My wife moved away, new town, new name, new locks. But every Christmas Eve, she says the kids still ask why the lights have to stay on all night. And sometimes, just before midnight, someone knocks. Once. Firm. And when they check the camera, there's no one there. Only footprints in the snow leading away from the house and never back.